This is Tom Noonan. You're listening to Without Your Head.
Welcome to the station of decapitation without your head. I'm Nasty Neal, and I'm joined by Michael REID MACKAY of Monster Squad and Seven and tons of other films.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good, thank you. I'm good, thanks. Now, Monster Squad's a special movie to me. Not only do I love the movie, but it was the first movie I went to with a girl when I was like 12 years old.
Oh, okay, very good.
Nothing really happened, but it was like my first crush, and it was her birthday, and we went to see Monster Squad.
Oh, that's too sweet. I love that.
Yeah, and it's
very cool.
A fantastic movie. I know you've probably been asked this, but how did you get involved in Monster Squad?
Actually, there was a small ad that was in Variety magazine, and I've always been like really super skinny. And the ad was really small, real short, and it said, casting, male to play mummy role, must be extremely thin on the verge of anorexic. And a friend of mine saw it, and he said, oh my God, Mike, you should go for that. And I did.
Uh-huh.
Got a call, Sony Studios directly, went to Sony Studios directly, and Fred Decker was there, and he was with someone, and they were like kind of in an argument, and he says, okay, so I walk in the door, and he says, oh, hi, how you doing? And he says, okay, what I want you to do is walk across the floor and a couple times for me, and drag your foot. And so I said, okay, fine. So I did that, and then he goes back to his conversation, and he goes back, he goes, okay, now this time, do the same thing except put some more movement. And so I twisted my arms and hands up and everything, and I walked with the dragging my foot.
Mm-hmm.
And so it goes back to the conversation. He was like in a heated conversation, and then he says, "Well, as far as I'm concerned, you got the part." I said, "Okay." So, and that was the end of that. And it was like, so finally the following day, I went to work. I was working a temporary job. I was working at Olga Bras and Panties. I got this call, and this woman says, "Hi, is this Michael REID MACKAY?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "Well, congratulations. You have the part of the mummy in the Monster Squad." And I just kind of like, okay. And so then I got like really like, I'm not in SAG. And she said, "Don't worry." She says, "We're going to talk you into SAG, and we'll take care of all that for you. And congratulations." And so I got off the phone. I looked at my friend. And I said, "Oh my God." I said, "Dan, I'm in a movie." And that was my first professional role, and that was my experience.
Wow. And I assume,
have to tell you,
yeah.
I have to tell you, it was just, I had the greatest time on that film.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how it happened.
Yeah, and I would assume that would you would think then all auditions are going to be this easy. You just go in, you do something, and they say, "Hey, you got the role."
Exactly. And it's like usually, you go through the casting process and all that and everything. But for this ad that I answered, it was just kind of like, I just answered the ad and I just went directly to the studios. And next thing you know, bang, bada, boom. It's like, I got the mummy. And that was it. It was very cool.
Did you study any other mummy movies, like for the movement?
Actually, I did not. I used to, coming up as a kid, I watched horror films and stuff like that and everything. But like, as for like research or anything, it's like, I kind of remembered and saw with the other mummies, like from the 30s and the 40s and what have you. And I didn't want to exactly copy any of them. I wanted to be my own mummy. Mm-hmm. And use my own movements and put my Michael REID MACKAY flavor into it. And so basically I wanted it to be my mummy. Mm-hmm. And so like, with the basic things here and there, with the dragon of the foot, of course, and everything. But, I wanted it to be unique.
Yeah.
And so it was very cool. And it's like, So that was my mummy, and it was very cool because it's like when I was like filming it with everybody, it was cool because it was like the classic monsters meet together, and it was very, very cool, and I was so happy to be a part of it. And also, too, I didn't even realize it, but I didn't realize that's like, Stan Winston, oh my God, you're working with Stan Winston. It's like, yeah. And it's like, and apparently, well, of course, Stan Winston was huge in the business, of special effects and what have you. And so, like, it was just a real honor to work with everyone, and everyone was very, very nice. Mm-hmm. And it was a truly great experience.
Mm-hmm. Now, that was your first feature movie, but were you an actor before this?
Yes, I'm from Connecticut, and I moved to California in '79. I was always in theater. I was always doing plays. I was in the theater group, and so and also junior high school. I was always acting. I was always in plays, and then acting in the theater groups and everything. So I was always like acting. And I decided really to go professionally in late 1972. I went to the Academy of Dramatic Arts, and it was for 2 years. And I worked really hard, and it's a 2-year school now. And it's like you have to get accepted back. You just can't go back for the second year. Mm-hmm. Well, I did not get accepted back. And I found out what the reason was. I went back and found out, and they said, this guy told me, he said, you're kind of small, and it's really not your fault, but he said, you're kind of small and thin. And he said, you know what? Maybe you should look into the retail business or something else. I don't think this is for you. He was so wrong. But anyway, yeah, that's that story. A lot of actors hear that kind of thing.
Yeah. And
that was told to me, but I thought, hell no one's going to tell me to hang it up and forget about it. This is what I want to do. Mm-hmm. And I'll continue.
Yeah, definitely.
And I was going to say, and the interesting thing about that too, it's like, also, it's kind of like when I came to California, never in a million years did I ever dream that I would play the Mummy and the Monster Squad or do horror films. Mm-hmm. I just kind of like fell into it. And it's like after I did Monster Squad, it's kind of like I guess you could say I kind of got into the loop of special effects. It's like, oh yeah, he's like McKay. He's really cool. He's like really skinny. He can fit into like tight places, and he's like really cool. He's like coordinating movements and everything. And so like I started doing horror films every once in a while, and it was kind of cool. And so that's how I kind of fell into that thing.
Yeah, and so you mentioned that doing the different makeup where they needed like a thin guy, and so what was the costume like for playing the Mummy in the Monster Squad, and what was it like in some of the other roles? What were some of the hardest ones?
Okay, well, actually, the Mummy costume was, compared to other things I've done, was like a piece of cake. I mean, it was like lightweight. It was basically I put on a muslin suit, and my feet were like slippers, my hands were like gloves, and they just pulled the head down over me. And after I had the hands on, the feet on, and the head, they just took some extra bandages, and they just wrapped me like to hide all the seams and to like wrap me into the suit. And it was comfortable. I mean, it wasn't like really restricting or anything like that. It was like it was a little tight, but nothing to speak of, And it was like so it was pretty lightweight, and it came off like fast. Whereas when I did this film, filmed it in Phoenix, Highway to Hell, I was in a rubber suit, and it was like I stayed in it, and the only thing they did, they pulled my head off like every once in a while and gave me air and water.
Yeah.
And I decided to stay in the suit because it was like a pain in the ass to get
out then back in, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they had to pull it on me. And so after the shoot, finally got out of the suit, and my feet had blisters all over the ankle. Oh my God! And it was like from the moisture buildup. And so, but it was just one of those things. It wasn't like real painful or anything. It was just like blisters. And we took care of it, no problem. But that was like very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Very uncomfortable.
Um.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, before the internet and conventions and everything, were
Yes.
you aware of like how popular the Monster Squad was with people?
I did not realize the popularity of the Monster Squad until the anniversary,
Mm-hmm.
the first anniversary, and it came out on DVD. And it was like it really hit with a lot of people. And also, going to my very first convention, it's kind of like I did not realize, or none of us did, that it would take off the way it did.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many people I've met. Oh my God, that was my favorite film. When I was coming up.
Yeah.
I love that film. And it's like now, they come to this last convention I was at. It's like now the parents are their kids' age.
Mm-hmm.
And like this one guy, he said, this is my little son. He said, I was his age when I saw the Monster Squad. Now I'm his dad. And it's like a new generation kind of thing coming up.
Mm-hmm.
And people are just crazy about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I get the comments all the time from people. It's like, oh my God, man, that was like my favorite movie coming up.
Mm-hmm.
I love the Monster Squad.
Yeah.
Watched it. It's like watched it constantly. And this one guy, he told me again. He says he's like my son. He said he's just like me. He says he puts he watches it over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very cool. It's great. And it's kind of like, you had such an effect on me. And it's like, who, me? Michael McKay? Me? And it's like, oh my God, you had such an effect on me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, thank you. It's very humbling. It's very cool.
I would think so.
I really love it.
And that's cool because you mentioned like people watching it with their kids, because it's a movie I think you could watch at any age, because it's creepy, it's scary, but not too scary for a kid, and yet it's not kiddish for an adult. So it works, I think, for any age individual.
Right. And I had an interview last week, and someone said something about, can you compare the Mummy movie that's out now? I said, it's totally no way. I said, the Mummy movie that's out now, it's like you say, it's like the Monster Squad, kids and adults both alike can watch it. Where the movie that's out now, it's intense. It's like all the action in it, and it just can't compare. It can't compare.
Yeah, not nearly as fun. I didn't think.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What was Tom Noonan like? Because people have worked with Tom Noonan. Some people have stories about him. Some people really like him. We really like him. We've had him on the show, and some people warned us not to have him on the show, but we had a great time. He was on over an hour, so I don't know. But what were your thoughts on Tom Noonan?
Tom Noonan, yeah, he's a cool guy. It's like when I see him on when I see him at conventions, they say, "Hey, Tom, what's going on?" And it's like he's a cool guy. However, when he was on the set, I really never interacted with him or whatever. Never talked to him, never interacted with Tom at all. Mm-hmm. And his deal when we did Monster Squad was to not talk to anybody. Mm. He's like self. Mm-hmm. Kids would try. Kids, as a matter of fact, the kids were great to work with. It was a blast. The kids tried to talk to him, and he basically didn't want them to, and so he basically didn't respond to them, or he looked rude. And they'd ask all these questions. It was kind of like he wouldn't he wouldn't commit to anything. Yeah. He just wanted to have that mystery about his character, and so he decided to pull back and just kind of just marinate in his character. And he didn't talk to anybody. Mm-hmm. And that was his way of doing his character and working it out. Mm-hmm. There's a couple times I wanted to do that, but it's kind of like, the kids knew me, and there was this one particular time where Ashley Bank, she saw me, getting my costume on or with my head off or whatever and everything. We talked a little bit and everything, but there was this one time where she shot, and I had to go at the back of the truck. I had to scare her. And all of a sudden, it was like she didn't want to film. She didn't want to shoot. And she started crying. She goes, "I'm scared. He scares me. I can't look." And so Fred Baker came up to me and said, "Hey, Mike, can you help me out?" He said, Ashley's like really, really upset, and she's crying, and she doesn't want to do this scene. He said, can you kind of go up to her and show her your lip or something and say, Ashley, hey, it's Mike, it's Mikey, it's me, it's really me. And I did that. I kind of didn't want to, but on the other hand, I wanted to help him out and everything. And she just, I'm scared. I can't look. I want to look at you. Scary. So when I did that, I finally did it, and it's kind of like she calmed down. And after that, she stopped crying. She did the scene. She was a real trooper, and she knew that it was really me under the suit, but she did the reactions that she needed to do. The scared reaction and everything, and she was great. And so Fred came up to me after. He says, Mike, thanks so much for helping me. I really appreciate it. I said, not a problem. Yeah, so like she did her scene, and she did it well. Yeah.
I saw a video where Duncan, who played Dracula, he said that he threw a hammer at Fred Decker, the director. Did you see this when it happened? Do you know what they were arguing about?
Oh, okay, yeah. I think he talked about that at one of the conventions when we were talking about that and everything. And he said, I got this big argument with Fred, and I got like really pissed off, and I threw this like hammer at him and everything. And it's like because like he had some disagreements, but he told me he had some disagreements with how he portrayed the character and wanted to, how he wanted to portray the lines and the acting and everything. And he said, on some points, Fred didn't agree, and they kind of like got into it a little bit. And I remember something about where, he was just like really upset. He threw a hammer or something like that. Yeah. But it all worked out, though. I mean, he did the things, and it worked out well, and it was like no major thing, but they had a little tiff every once in a while.
I also saw a video where you mentioned that you have like an affinity for mummies, and like you collect, like, I don't know if you collect, but you have like different mummy figures and whatnot. Has anyone at a convention given you like some type of mummy figure or something cool that sticks out in your mind?
Funny you said that. I'm holding it right now.
Oh, very cool.
It's like I said that I said that on panel.
Yeah.
And it's like I do have an affinity for the mummies now. I have a deep fondness for mummies. And this girl came up to me and she said, "Hi," she said, "I talked to you earlier," and she said, "I just want to give this to you." And she gave me this little plastic mummy that glows in the dark. And she said, "I heard what you said on panels because I thought it was really great." And I said, "Oh, thank you so much." And she gave me this little glow-in-the-dark plastic mummy, and I have it sitting on my desk here. And it's like, it was very sweet. I said, that's very sweet of you. She goes, "Oh, my pleasure." She goes, "Yeah." She goes, "So this is yours." And it's like, I said, "Well, thank you." And it's like, "Yeah." And it's like, so, and then a friend of mine, after the Monster Squad was out for a couple of years or whatever, he gave me this like a little, it was a plastic, but a little bigger, also glow in the dark mummy figure. And he said, he said, "Mike, this is for you." And I said, "Thanks." And so I got my little mummies here and there, and I have a mummy keychain. Yeah, it's like I have this thing for mummies now, a fondness for mummies. Like after playing the mummy in the Monster Squad, it's like I really, it was like that was very special to me.
I don't blame you. It's very cool. It's one of my favorite mummies, and I'm a big fan of mummies on film too. So. And not just because you're here. I've said that before on the show. I always think it's one of the coolest mummies in movies.
Yeah. And it's like, I think there's a mummy movie that was out in the 90s. Which one was that?
With the Brendan Fraser movies.
Yeah, right, yeah. And that movie is, exactly. And his mummy, he was kind of like a big guy. And it's like out of all the mummies I've seen and everything, it's like I'm the smallest, and I'm the smallest little mummy.
Yeah.
And someone said, "You know what? That would be kind of like that would kind of like fit into like, you know, reality, because like, and it's like, because, you know, being a mummy and small and everything. I think, yeah, you know what? I think maybe you're kind of right about that.
Yeah, I remember when we were in school, they brought Ramses II to Boston Museum of Science, I believe, and we went up there and looked at it, and this, you know, the real mummies are very small.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I thought, how cool is that? And I was like, well, you know, so it's like, so it's like, yeah, it's like, well, I was kind of like a real original mummy.
And I have to ask about 7, because I love 7,
Yeah.
and you're very creepy in 7. It's very, and I mean that in a good way. Yeah. And what's it like when you have all the makeup on and you see yourself for the first time with it complete?
I'll tell you what. It's like I had extensive makeup on that, and it was kind of like to the point where I had lots of tests, and I worked for, you know, months here and there, and going back to the special effects and doing tests and everything. And my makeup actually took 14 hours.
Oh wow!
And it was like it was a real process. I remember it's like guy would pick me up like 5 in the morning, get to the special effects studio around 6:30, whatever. You know, lay on the table and have some tea and whatever, or coffee, whatever. And first thing they did, they started out with paint airbrushing, like little veins and things. And they had everything in a process. Then they had the process where they would glue on the gelatin sores, and then they would have a process where they would do more touch-up paint around the gelatin sores and do more airbrush. And they got it done to a science where they had it like, okay, now this is what we're going to do for a while, and then take a break. And so, okay, now we're going to do this. And so, like, after being at the special effects studio all day, I would finally get to the set. And I'm telling you, once I was in that makeup, and like any other thing I've done, it's like once I'm in the suit or the makeup, whatever, I start to really feel character. And so, like, get to the set at 7:30 at night, and I get on that bed, and I really, really, really feel the character. And I was told, David Fincher told me when I laid on the bed, he said, now, it's very important that you lay completely still. We can't see you breathing, so you got to really be still. And the thing was, it was real difficult because they were spraying me with water, and it was making me get goosebumps, and I couldn't shiver. And so I had to suck in my breath at the same time and be perfectly still. And so they put a heater by me. It's like whatever. They tried to do all these things, but anyway, it worked out. And then they had to put a fake arm under me and everything. So like when it came time to actually shoot, I had to and just tighten my body up and be completely still. And I actually, when I actually saw the film, I went with a friend. And she sees the air fresheners. She goes, is this a scene? I said, yeah, it's a scene. I'm acting all slick and everything. It's like, oh, yeah, this coming up, no big deal. So the scene where it's like just before it's like the SWAT team comes in and freeze. And they see me and they go up to me and I just see this real still body. Well, the guy, David Fincher, he gave the SWAT guys directions, and he also said, okay, you're coming into this damp, dark, dank room. It smells in here. It's really creepy. And he said, I want that feeling when you see this figure on the bed. And he said, it's like you're going in real cautious. Now, it cracked me up because it's kind of like when the SWAT guy got right down to my face, he says, I forget what he said, but he's like really close to my face. And at that point, after he says Ryan, I take a couple seconds and I went, and I got the reaction out of him and everyone else that David Fincher wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And they jumped a mile. And like I say, when I was with my friend in the movie, and is this the scene coming up? She says, yeah. And it's kind of like, I scared myself. And we both jumped out of our seats. And it was kind of like, it cracked me because I'm thinking, yeah, this is the scene, no big deal, whatever. I'm going to turn on. But I did not expect what I was going to do, so I jumped like everybody else in the theater.
And it's not only just like a jump scare, because it's bad enough seeing the character and thinking he's dead, and then to realize he's alive, it's that much worse, like in your mind, to think, what this person's gone through.
Absolutely. And I absolutely love jump scares.
Mm-hmm.
I love jump scares. And when I did that, I was so proud of myself. Proud of myself because it's like that guy, he jumped a mile. And it's like all the SWAT guys were like, ah! And it's like, did the same to myself. And so, yes, I was very happy about that.
Yeah. And I would think, you go on, sorry.
No, I was going to say, I was just going to basically say, like, well, I did my job.
Yeah, definitely. And I would think because you had 14 hours to get in the makeup, and then I think it would be a lot of time you're kind of laying motionless in the bed. So that's a lot of time, I think, of not moving or making a noise. So you even in your mind, you'd be building up to this moment where you have to, do your thing and shock everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like it's like right before they put me on the bed, it's kind of like I was like in the special effects room and everything, and they had water for me and air and everything was cool and everything. But when it came time to shoot, when I positioned myself laying on the bed and everything, once everything was completely positioned around me and everything, whatever, and it's like that's where I had to like slow down my breathing. And then slow down my breathing some more, and to the point where it just before they're going to shoot it, and that's where I had to like suck it up with the air and just tighten everything up and just be still.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, when I went to the audition for this, I thought when I read the sides, it was like really disturbing. I said, "Oh my God!" And it's like my audition was like, she said, okay, it's just going to be quick. She goes, you can either sit down, stand up, sit down, whatever you want to do. And she says, you're just going to be dead. Okay. I love fun. I love being dead and then all of a sudden coming to life. But I love jump scares. Yeah. And so I decided to lay down on the floor with my head away from the camera.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, when I say this word, she goes, just look to the camera, dead straight on into the camera. And so she says she does the finger snap or whatever, the cue, and I'm like completely still, and I just turn my head ever so slightly, and I look right into the camera, and I just stare into the camera. Oh my God! She said, you freaked me out. I said, good. It was like, and that got it. That got it for me.
Yeah.
And it's like, and it's just like I just love that. And it's like, basically, that's how I got the last thing I did, Insidious 3.
Mm-hmm.
I had to like move around on the floor and everything, and a couple times I had to like just like all of a sudden stop, and then all of a sudden it's like, ding! Look right in the camera. I love that. Ding! And it's kind of like, and the girl I was filming, she was like camera in one hand, and in the other hand her thumbs up. That was great. And it's funny, when I met Lee Winnell, we're talking. It was a meet at the meet and greet. He was like talking. He said, you know what? He said, I loved your tape. He said, when I saw when I saw your tape, he said, oh my God. He said, that's really creepy. He said, he said, he reminds me of, he said, I thought to myself, that reminds me of that guy in Seven. Then he said he looked down at my resume. He goes, oh my God, it was that guy in Seven.
That's awesome.
It's funny. And it's like, we had a good laugh about that. It was like, yeah. And it's like, so, I had my REID MACKAY quirky moves, and they were very familiar to him, so obviously, so.
That's pretty wild. So. Yeah. And I wanted to ask because I know you would have been young during the Charles Manson crimes and him going to jail and everything, but you were alive, when that happened. And so what was it like to then play Charles Manson?
I really absolutely loved it. However, I have to tell you, I really had to hold my own on that. I got it out of all of these guys. I went to the final audition, whatever. I don't know. But then there's like all these guys in bell bottoms, and looking all Charles Manson, trying to look all Charles Manson and type and whatever, like Charles Manson type and whatever. And so my name was called, and so I went in, and the room was filled with people. And, maybe about. So there's 2 rows of people, producers, directors, whatever. And they said, this guy, he said, okay, he said, Michael, he says, how are you? He said, okay, whatever you do, just do what you did at the audition. And he said, whatever you do, don't stare. I said, okay, fine. And so, and at the audition, they told me, they said, it might be a good idea to get like a documentary. So I got the Helter Skelter documentary. And what I did is I got his voice pattern down, the way he moved, the way he looked. And so I used that in this particular audition. I talked like he did. I moved like he did. And the guy said, great. He said, excellent. And so I leave, and that was it. And it's like they called me in first, and so like I guess they were interested in me up, from the get go. So then I got the call. Now, when it was like this was like a 1-day shoot. It was like I really looked like he did when he got arrested. I had that look with the big bushy hair and mustache and everything. And someone said, "Is that you in the arrest scene?" I said, "No." I said, "That's the actual document." I said, "That's the actual footage." So, oh my God, you look just like him.
Yeah.
And so I got out of the trailer and I'm walking up the hill, and it was in Marina Del Rey, and it was at this house. I'm walking up this hill, and as I was walking up the hill by myself, people looked at me, and it was like the seas parted. People were like backing up. And this woman, she looked at me and she said, "Oh my God." She said, "Oh my God." She said, "You look just like him." She said, "I knew Charlie.
Oh, wow.
I knew him. You look just like him." And I went, oh. And so I got to the set, and we went over the lines, and like I said, I had to hold my own because I wasn't getting any feedback
from like the director. You mean?
It was really kind of the point where I thought I'm losing it, and it's kind of like what's going wrong. The director seemed like he was like, I don't know. It was just like there was no communication. This one girl, she was like a reporter or something. She said, and between takes, she says, "I just want to tell you one thing." I said, "What's that?" She said, "You're doing a really great job." I was so happy to hear something positive. I was like, "I hug you." And I was really kind of proud of myself because it's like I look scary as shit.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like when this woman saw me and when she thought, she goes, "I knew," she goes, "and I knew him." She goes, "I knew Charlie," and she said, "You look just like him." It was like, wow.
Yeah.
And so,
yeah, go on.
Yeah, and it was like, it's like I was just so, when that woman said that to me, "You're doing a good job," I said, "Can I hug you? I just needed that." and we did the last shot, and they were having trouble. And he threw up his arms and goes, okay, they stopped. He said, cut. What is the problem? He said, well, he's kind of moving too fast, and so like we're kind of like. He said, look, he just does this. He walks across with this girl, and they walk into the party. And so I said, okay, fine. So I do it, and he said, cut, forget it. And I looked down for a second. I looked, everybody's gone except for the extra girls in the other room. And no, thank you. No great working with you. And it's like, when I left that shoot, I was so disappointed, kind of like, because I kept thinking, I really like, I really screwed up here. It's like, what did I do? And it's like later on, many years later, not too many years later, a psychic told me, she goes, did you ever have an experience on a set one time that was kind of uncomfortable? I said, yeah. I want to let you know, she said, you did nothing wrong. She said, the director at the time was going through a lot of stuff, and it was kind of like all coming out and kind of like taking it out on you, kind of. I don't know.
That's weird.
But anyway, it was a 1 day shoot. It was at night. We shot at night at this house in Marina Del Rey. So, but playing him was very cool, and I really liked the process because I had never done it before, of like looking at someone I was going to play and actually researching. I'd never done that before. So it was cool. It was cool to do that.
Yeah. Have you ever been to the Museum of Death in Hollywood? Because they have a lot of Charlie Manson stuff out there.
You know what? I have not. But yeah, I've heard that. Yeah. One of these days, I'm going to take a ride out there and check it out.
My co-host on the show, Annabelle, couldn't be here today. When we were in Hollywood a few years ago, we went out there. It's definitely not for everybody. It's a very weird place. Okay. But if you're into that kind of stuff, it's definitely interesting.
Oh, cool.
Did you ever find out how that woman knew Charlie Manson?
She said that she knew him. She lived in the area where he lived in the hills or whatever. She was kind of like a neighbor, kind of. And she said I knew Charlie back in the day, and they used to live in the same neighborhood or whatever. And it's like that's how she knew Charlie Manson. Yeah.
And I wanted to mention a movie that I think is really underrated that you're in is Casa Deadly Spell. I'm a big fan of the movie. I even have a Casa Deadly Spell T-shirt. And
okay.
Yeah, I really like the movie. And has amazing cast: Fred Ward, David Warner, Clancy Brown. And do you have any memories of making Casa Deadly Spell?
Yes, I do. And as a matter of fact, I have this thing for mummies. I also have a thing for gargoyles.
Oh, very cool.
I have this big gargoyle that I bought afterwards. That role was really cool to play. A lot of guys worked on the outfit and everything, and I flew like on a line because I had to fly in onto the balcony and everything. I had wings that like it went up. It came down. I had hooves, and it was a really cool suit. And it wasn't like really super hot because it was kind of like the head would come off pretty easy, and they take it off, and I had plenty of air and water and everything. And working on it was like really really cool. Fred Ward was wonderful to work with. Martin Campbell, director, was a wonderful guy. And it was that was one of my earlier things I did, and it was quite a highlight. I really loved my my gargoyle, and I do this thing called Story Salon where it's like every week. It's like you tell a 7-minute story about anything. And it's like a lot of actors, stand-ups, writers, this guy, he's the producer, one of the producers. He says, Mike, he says, I know something about the Casa Fail. He says that you have in common with Beverly. Now, Beverly is also the producer, Beverly Mickens. Mm-hmm. And he says, you have something in common with Beverly regarding that. I said, how so? He said, Beverly's husband wrote that film. I said, you're kidding me. Beverly's husband wrote Casa Deadly Spell.
That's pretty wild.
It was very close. Formerly called Lovecraft. She goes, yeah. And I said, Beverly, you're not going to believe this. I said, I was the gargoyle in Casa Deadly Spell. She said, no, you're kidding me. I said, she goes, I love that. She goes, I loved your character. I said, yeah, that was me. And it's like, oh my God, yeah, her husband wrote that. So how cool is that?
Yeah, that's awesome. I want to ask about Batman and Robin too, since you're basically the original Bane. I think you're the first Bane that's on camera in any film. And
right.
And then Jeep Swenson, who's a former professional wrestler, plays you when you get big. What are your memories of doing Batman and Robin?
Doing Batman and Robin, it's like standing. First of all, standing next to Jeep was like it was crazy. I mean, he was huge. Yeah. He was huge, and it's like and he was such a sweet guy. Mm-hmm. And then of course he passed.
Yeah, he was pretty young too.
Shortly after. Mm-hmm. And it's like, but he was huge. My memories of doing Batman and Robin was I was picked up by these guys and I was thrown on this table and injected with poison. Mm-hmm. And my character's name was Antonio Diego. I was a prisoner, and it was kind of like they were doing an experiment on me, and I turned out to be Bane. Mm-hmm. And Joel Schumacher, he told me, he said, they're going to throw you down the table, and then they're going to put the poison in your head, and I want you to scream at the top of your lungs, and that's what I did. And now at the audition, they actually filmed the audition on, and they put it on Entertainment Tonight. And they showed 4 auditions, 1, 2, 3, and 4. I was 4. Mm-hmm. They said at the beginning of it, they said they're going to show you these auditions, and they said at the end of the show we're going to show you who won the part of Antonio Diego in the next Batman and Robin film. Mm-hmm. And so they showed each audition, and then they went to the show, and at the end they went back to us again. And so now at the audition, Melly Finn was the casting director. She says, I want you to imagine you're getting injected with this poison. It's painful. It burns. And you're in total pain. So what I did is since I was the last one, I heard the first 3 guys. And there's a point where I could tell that they kind of held back a little bit. Mm-hmm. Maybe self-conscious or whatever, I don't know. But I thought, I'm just going to go for it. So I went in, she explained about the poison and the pain and everything. Excuse me. And so what I did, I just threw myself against the wall and I just screamed at the top of my lungs, like in pain, agony and everything, and just let it out. And it's like, after I was done, it's like, great. I was like, I said, oh my God, give me some more. You sit up. Yeah, I said, oh, okay, I'm okay. And she had me sit down, and someone ran real fast, and they got me some oranges and some water. You want some water? She said, are you okay? I'm fine. And so that's how I kind of basically booked the part. Uh-huh. And so when I got on set and I did that scream, I did the same thing. It's like let it all out. Mm-hmm. And I felt like I was in pain and everything, and it's kind of like it was just screaming. And And then, of course, the last scene is like I end up back, I deflate back into myself, and they just had me lay in a pile of slime, and I was back to my skinny ass self.
Oh, very cool.
But yeah. Mm-hmm. But yeah, like I said, Jeep was huge, huge guy, and Joel was great guy. Everyone was like, everything was like a kickback. Everything was really cool. Really loved it.
Do you have any social like media sites? Are you on Twitter or anything for people to follow you, or Facebook?
No, actually, I'm not. I kind of keep like a low profile. If people want to contact me, they call my booking agent, or they call my or they call my agency.
All right, no problem.
And then I'll reach out.
Sure.
But yeah, and it's like I don't have like a website or anything like that. No, I really don't.
Well, that keeps you more special.
What's that?
And that keeps you more special when if someone gets to talk to you. If you're not all over the internet.
You are so right about that. That's exactly right. Yeah. And my outlet, my creative outlet right now, pretty much is is when I do these conventions. I did a couple months ago. I did Horror Hound Weekend in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
And it was the biggest convention I had ever done. And I love to talk to fans and kids and everything. I love to give back to them. And I like to give them encouragement and tell them, basically, you can do anything you want. Like this girl, she's a filmmaker. She was like really inspired by meeting people, and I was talking to her crew and everything, and she said, she goes, I'm working on this thing. I said, well, keep at it, girl. I said, yeah. I said, you'll be fine. I said, you know what? I said, if you have the passion for it in your heart and you want to do this, I said, you will do this and you will be successful. I said, I say that to everyone I meet, because like there's nothing worse than the Debbie Downers or the people that are like, oh, you're never going to do this, kind of all that kind of bullshit. It's like, no way, no. You want to do something? You got the passion? You go for it, and you will be fine. You will be successful. Mark my words, because it's happened to me over the years. It's happened to me many times. It's kind of like when I went to acting school in New York. That situation. Oh, you know what? Maybe this isn't for you. Maybe you should go into the retail business. I don't think acting is for you. And it's like you're kind of small. It's not really your fault, but maybe you should look into something else. It's like, fuck that. It's like shit. And it's like, you can't let stuff like that. You can't let that, deter you, because it's like, if you got a passion and you keep at it, you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine, and you're going to be successful.
Well, that's a great message to hear.
Thank you. And I love giving that message because of what I went through. And if I see anyone or talk to anyone that has a passion about something they want to do, whether it be writing or storyboard or filmmaking, sculptor, acting, whatever, it's like, keep at it and don't stop. And it's like, if you love it that much, just keep loving it more and you'll be fine. And I love to give that message, And so obviously when I go to these like horror conventions, it's kind of like, like my mojo is like really high, because it's kind of, I love everything is just so positive and like high energy, and I love it. I love it.
Very cool. Well,
excuse me. I love giving that positive message. Yes.
That's very cool. I'm happy to hear that, and I hope to meet you at a convention sometime. It's been a great time talking to you today.
That would be very cool, Neil. Yes, absolutely. And I hope to do more of these. Conventions. We'll have to see what happens. But yeah, I just really dig on these conventions. They're just so great. I love them.
Very cool. And it's been awesome to talk to you. It's been a great time.
Yeah, it has been. It certainly has been. And thank you for getting back and everything. I'm glad we got that little glitch taken care of, whatever that was. But anyway,
yeah. No one will have to know. It'll be all edited out, and it'll be no one will know but you and I. Right.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, Neil, my friend, great talking to you, and thanks so much.
Thank you very much. All right.
This is Dan Kamen, Old Chief Woodenhead, from Creepshow 2, Yatta Hey. You're listening to Without Your Head Horror Radio.